Today, we're starting off with a cave tour. X Cave is formed by two narrow passageways that intersect near the middle to form an X. The walls of the cavern were carved by water. These are live formations which are still growing. It's amazing to consider that future visits might look a little different. Bats don't seem to prefer this cave because of the draft these passages create. Walking through, we saw columns, draperies, flowstone, coral, and stalactites. These impeccable formations really captured my attention. A few times I turned around to realize everyone had continued further up the passage, and I was still there taking in the formation. I wasn't too worried about getting lost, though, because the passageways aren't super long and only travel two directions, out and back. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I would love to spend more time exploring this cave. We got to experience complete darkness for around 30 seconds. X Cave is currently my favorite tour here at Carter Cave State Park. After I made the short walk back to the Welcome Center, I noticed a sign listing movies to be viewed in Cascade Cave. What a unique way to take in a movie! We are heading over to tour Saltpeter Cave. During the War of 1812, America began to produce its own gunpowder. The soil in Saltpeter Cave contained potassium nitrate, one of the main components needed, otherwise known as saltpeter.
Tight and might meet in the middle and start growing together. But you can see that this is a very dead column, and that is because the miners came down here, looked at it, thought it looked like an animal fat candle, because if you look right there, it is starting to grow back, but that's what a formation should look like. So they thought it looked like a candle and they lit it on fire.
Miners moved in, worked, and lived here for a period of time. If you look closely, you can see a charred look to the ceiling where fires were going beneath the surface. Then we experienced total darkness for about 1 minute. Devil's Hole. This concludes our tour of Saltpeter Cave. Next, I headed back to Three Bridges Trail to see Fern Bridge. The path in and back out was steeper, so I would definitely recommend hiking poles if you have some. This arch was huge. As I stood back taking in the scale, I couldn't stop smiling. I've seen pictures of this, but it felt so much bigger in person. If you get a chance, come see this. You won't be disappointed. Kentucky sure is showing off with Fern Bridge. This concludes our time today exploring Fern Bridge. Next, we're headed over to Raven Bridge. Raven Bridge is the final arch on Three Bridges Trail I set out to see. There is a connecting trail near the middle called Rock House, but I was near the end of my capacity for the day, so I decided to wait on seeing that formation. To reach this arch, I parked at the end of Lodge Road and hiked around a mile and a half out and back. Yes, I finally made it, but I did have to climb uphill for a closer view of Raven Bridge. This trail was very peaceful. It was a great way to end my time on Three Bridges Trail. I am off to Shangra La Arch. It's an easy walk out and back from the parking area above the Lodge Road boat ramp. The path leading to Shangra La Arch is part of the Four Seas Trail, which are the orange markers you see along the way. This arch appears to be next to or part of a sinkhole collapse. This was another unique arch formation. I've never seen one quite like it before. Kentucky sure is showing off at Carter Cave State Park. There's one more thing I'd like to show you before we leave the park. This is Laurel Cave. There are self-guided cave tours available. You will need to get a permit at the Welcome Center and take at least one other person with you. The second permit option for self-exploring is Horn Hollow Cave. This concludes Day 2 at Carter Cave State Park. We hope you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to the channel so you can be part of each new endeavor. See you next time.